Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
And calling it a flood tax, protesters not happy about the possibility of a tax rate increase. That's why dozens of people in Kerr County tonight stood along Sidney Baker. At the meeting on Monday, the Commissioner's Court approved the tax collector calculating a higher property tax rate for flood recovery. Now, we want to emphasize this does not mean Kerr County has raised taxes, but it does mean they've laid the groundwork to consider raising them later this year. The night team's Avery Everett was there as protesters called for people impacted by the floods to be protected.
Our Kerr County commissioners unanimously voted.
A street corner lined with protesters.
We were busy digging out from this flood.
Calling for clarity from Kerr County. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the community was hit by the deadly Hill Country floods. But it's a decision made by the Commissioner's Court that has these people holding signs and speaking out.
There's families grieving that will be grieving for months that are still looking for closure. They're still looking for their family members. It's absolutely disgusting that they're even talking about it right now.
Sunny Hall helped organize this protest in response to the Commissioner's Court meeting on Monday.
Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
The details are complex. Tax code and calculations can be confusing. What we know right now is that leaders there approved that the tax collector could use a special method to calculate property tax rate limits using a higher percentage than typically allowed. That's because of the disaster declaration here, and the rate could impact Kerr County, Lateral Roads, and Lake Ingram Estates Road District.
This doesn't mean we're raising taxes.
That point was emphasized in the meeting by Tax Assessor Bob Reeves. He said the decision made on Monday provides a mechanism for commissioners to raise rates later this year if they decide to.
The difference is not to pad a budget or anything like that. It's for the unforeseen costs that have arisen out of the disaster.
The county says this could allow for more cash flow management until federal financial assistance arrives. The people protesting Wednesday night
don't tax us when we're down.
Say they want the county to find a different solution.
They spent less than 5 minutes on it out of a 2.5-hour meeting. It's not the right time to do any of this, to have these kinds of conversations.
With an entire county budget cycle ahead, people here say they're looking for transparency and expecting Kerr County to listen. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Now, the tax assessor says he'll have another update on numbers at the next Commissioner's Court meeting in 2 weeks. A final decision could come in September when the county approves its budget. I want to mention we did reach out to the Kerr County Joint Communications team for updated comments about this idea, and we didn't hear back today. Kerr County posted a summary of the decision on its website. We do have a link to that on KSAT.com. Well, help is on the way for Hill Country business owners hit hard by floods. Some of them think it could be months, maybe a year before they can reopen. But two nonprofits are trying to make the process easier. Our Stephania Jimenez tells us more from Kerrville.
There's the emotional toll that this tragedy has taken on this community, but then there's also the financial one, and it has to do with this river. So many businesses depend on this river for their livelihoods. And obviously, with so many of these businesses affected, what they're also saying is that there's no telling when they're going to be back up and running. But I'm very happy to tell you tonight that a lot of businesses, dozens of them in the Hill Country, are getting help. And they're getting help from two nonprofits that are stepping up. There's Lift Fund, which is a nonprofit based out of San Antonio. There's also the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce. The chamber says that as of today, it's raised $1.1 million to help businesses. 67 businesses have already been approved for aid through them. And then we have Lift Fund, which is offering grants and also a zero-interest loan program. We're told that 50 people have applied for the grants and that another 10 have applied for the loans. We also spoke with two business owners who were approved for grants through Lift Fund, and they could not be more grateful.
It's just a big boost in making the struggle easier to recover from.
Right now it's just paying the last of the bills that I had. You know, I still have to pay sales tax for June and, you know, payroll.
So here's something else. Once business owners are approved for Lift Fund grants, they get that money quickly. They apply, Lift Fund then verifies that those businesses are legit, and then they get the money days later. And listen to this, both Lift Fund and the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce say that despite all the money that they've raised so far, they're going to continue raising money to help these businesses for as long as possible. In Kerrville, Stephania Jimenez, KSAT 12 News.
Considering all the images you've seen in just the last 12 days, you can understand the scope of the damage, massive in the Hill Country. Many people also having to replace something else we all need, vehicles. At JC's Auto Body and Paint Shop in Ingram, they've been working on vehicles that got considerable water damage, and they say most of them are a total loss.
Say once the dash and the electronics are underwater, then so basically about 3 feet. And even if it's less than that, you still have issues like your differentials, transmissions, anything that's slower still gets full of water. And then that's something that almost has to be done immediately, taken to a shop, flushed out, cleaned out, and you may not have problems with it in the future, but you still might.
James has been a mechanic for decades. He says he's never seen car damage like this. He's been helping people fill out paperwork so FEMA can help replace their cars. Uvalde County officials searching for a driver swept away by floodwaters in a stolen vehicle south of Sabinal off Ranch Road 187 South at the Frio River crossing. It's a weird story. They posted this picture on Facebook of that stolen vehicle upside down in the river. According to Uvalde police, a family member told officials they received a call from the driver saying they were being swept off the road. A search and rescue operation underway, but as of right now, no one has been found. Uvalde County authorities are reminding people to use caution when driving through low water crossings. Today, Maverick in Uvalde County is officially added to the disaster declaration made by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. That declaration came after devastating flooding across Texas. 26 counties are now part of that disaster declaration. To see a full list of those counties, you can visit KSAT.com. A big court win that could mean more answers about the response to the Robb Elementary School shooting. Today, a Texas appeals court ruled that the Uvalde School District and Uvalde County itself must hand over their records related to the shooting. KSAT 12 and several other news organizations sued for that release nearly 3 years ago. It could include reports from the sheriff's office, ballistic reports, and information about the shooter. The Uvalde School District told KSAT it will discuss and review the court's ruling during its next school board meeting, which is on July 21st. An update now for you. The latest inmate death at the Bexar County Jail has been ruled a suicide tonight. That's according to the medical examiner's office. The inmate has been identified as 48-year-old Lorenzo Aleman, who you'll remember the man arrested for shooting and killing his girlfriend and nephew Sunday night in the parking lot of a Southeast Side HEB. According to the Castle Hills Police Department, who's helping out with this investigation, Aleman was found dead inside a cell last night. The news came less than 48 hours after he was taken into custody and charged with capital murder. According to our count, Aleman is the 8th inmate to die at the Bexar County Jail this year. In a story that's new tonight on the Nightbeat, a Bexar County mother doing everything she can to pay her bills. After being laid off from her federal government job 4 months ago, she's doing whatever she can to provide for her kids, including selling candles, even selling some of her furniture. The night team's Zaria Oates has spoken with her twice this year. Is following up with her tonight as she starts a new side hustle.
I refuse to fall apart.
This is Ashley Smith. I first sat down with her in March when she was laid off from her federal government job after a government-wide reduction in force. She told me how she's a mom of 2 and a veteran and wasn't sure how she would make ends meet.
Now you stripped a major income away.
I caught up with Ashley again in May after she received emails going back and forth about which government agency was to blame for her not having a job.
Maybe go in even if I had to donate plasma or something.
Now in July, I hopped in the car with her as she perseveres to provide for her family.
It can be a little chaotic at times.
The other people are getting severance if they took that option, but you're not in that position. What's that like?
It's definitely a hustle thing. It's very difficult. I'm not gonna lie and say it's easy. I've seen a lot of people lose everything that they have. And my goal is not to.
And what are the things that you're doing?
If I gotta sell like furniture or something that I don't need, or anything I have to do just to make sure I have whatever money I gotta have. Today I'm going to donate plasmas. If I don't, I'm gonna lose everything.
She's been applying to jobs for months and she's applied for unemployment, but that's an uphill battle on its own.
The patent office has their own thing where they actually have to say it's okay for you to get the unemployment from them. So you go through their people and then they send it to the unemployment office.
That hasn't happened yet. She's also not the only person struggling to find a new normal. According to ABC News, more than 1,000 employees were laid off from the State Department on July 14th, with an additional 2,000 cuts, both voluntarily and involuntarily, happening at the same time. It's unclear when this hardship will end, but Ashley isn't giving up on trying.
Doing whatever I have to do, because it's clear they're not sending my money. I refuse to fall apart.
Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
A league all their own, having to rebuild. Still ahead, how the San Antonio Missions are helping the Ingram Little League. And Project Men doing what they can to help those in immediate need. Coming up, we're going to tell you what and how you can donate to help those in the Hill Country. The Project Men's annual mobility collection drive, originally set for July, has been rescheduled to September 20th. That's because with flood recovery still underway in the Hill Country, Project Men is stepping up to help families and individuals impacted by that disaster. They're accepting donations of medical equipment like wheelchairs, walkers, shower chairs, and more. They already have supplies ready to go, but with so many people in need, they're urgently seeking more donations to make sure everyone gets the help they need.
We put a call out on our social media as well as our website for anybody that wanted to donate items to us, because that's the greatest need if you think about a disaster. Somebody gets relocated, however, all of their DME was either destroyed or taken away by the flood, and so now they need equipment.
Donations can be dropped off at Project Men's headquarters on Wurzbach. Visit ksatcommunity.com for more details. The 4th of July floods that tore through the Texas Hill Country left a trail of destruction, homes, lives, landmarks, all torn apart. And among the many places devastated, the Ingram Little League, a cherished local institution built over 3 decades fully by volunteers and community support. The Guadalupe River sits a little more than 50 yards from the fields, and water went through the facilities, tearing up the fields and more.
All our primary fields are gone, and our practice fields are gone, and I don't know, 8,000 foot of fencing, and of course the fields themselves are completely destroyed, where they're having to completely redo all the fields.
A summer gathering place gone. The league wants to rebuild, looking for help and donations. The director said, we want to bring normalcy back to this community. We have a link now on our website on how you can do that. Also, the San Antonio Missions are hosting a game on August 9th, and some of the proceeds from that game will also go toward the Ingram Little League rebuild. All right, outside, I said earlier today, Adam, that July is finally acting like it.
Yeah, July is now Julying, as the kids would say these days, right? And actually, I'm going to give you a breakdown of the high temperatures so far this month. It's very interesting with all the rain and clouds, how cool it's been, relatively speaking. Let's get to our main headlines. First of all, we're watching an area of potential development in the Gulf. Really, we're looking at a little plume of moisture and rain-making energy. That's about it. Rain, a small chance on Friday, especially just east of San Antonio, and particularly places closer to Houston. But we could have a few little showers pop up around here from some of that energy in the Gulf that's headed westward. Temperatures nearing triple digits as we get into next week. Wouldn't surprise me if we have our first triple-digit day since early May. So here's a look at the satellite and radar throughout the past several hours. And you see this disturbed weather. Showers and storms popped up throughout the north and central Gulf earlier today. This activity is still ongoing, and the Hurricane Center gives it a 40% chance of developing into a tropical depression. Even if it gets a title of tropical depression, it doesn't really change anything for most people and for Texas. It's basically just going to bring a rainy day to the Louisiana and East Texas coastline, basically from Venice, Louisiana, westward all the way to Beaumont, Port Arthur, Galveston, and into Houston. More than anything, what we have here is some deeper tropical moisture and energy around this upper level disturbance. This is, usually we talk about the troughs in the atmosphere, the dips in the upper level flow. This is actually an upside down dip. One of those things in meteorology school the professors try to trick you with, right? Not a ridge, it's a trough. And that's the rain-making energy in the atmosphere. That's going to be headed westward, and we'll just get a glancing blow of some of that rain-making energy, but could be enough for a few brief showers or downpours by Friday. So notice the futurecast, basically just a rainy day tomorrow in parts of Louisiana, especially closer to the coast, and then Beaumont, Port Arthur, all the way down to Galveston and Houston area, kind of cutting off before it even makes it toward Rockport in terms of the rainfall. Around here, we could have a few pop-ups, especially in some of our eastern counties. That's Lavaca County, DeWitt County, Gonzales County, Victoria, Goliad. That wouldn't surprise me. Locally, it's a 20% chance. I'd give it a 30 to 40% chance in those eastern counties. Again, around here, Friday, that's our only chance, 20%. Saturday, a 10% chance, but that may be even a little aggressive if you ask me. So if you were outside today and you noticed a little extra haze, and especially on the big flyover ramps for our highways, they stretch stories and stories high. I use those as my gauge to see what landmarks off in the distance are visible on a given day. And today was definitely more limited because of a little bit of Saharan dust overhead. Nothing serious, not a big deal, just a little extra haze out there. And that's going to be pushing northward tomorrow. It's going to be out of our area. We'll have a big break from the dusty haze in the atmosphere. Until we get to early next week, we could have a little bit back overhead, but kind of negligible levels. The real thick plumes are still way out over the Atlantic. Okay, today 97, 2 degrees above average for the high temperature, and even the morning low was 4 degrees above average. Look at the month of July. The blue days indicate afternoon high temperatures below average, and the gray days are near average. If we had a day that was above average, it would show up as that orange color. We haven't had an afternoon high above average all month until today. And our overall average temperature, which takes into account the morning low and the afternoon high, the average so far is 1.1 degrees below average. That's what a rainy pattern will do. More of the same tomorrow, 75 in the morning, 97 in the afternoon, triple digits. Down to the south and west, Dilley, Cotulla, Carrizo Springs, Crystal City, the typically warmer spots. Next week, July is Julying. Yeah, as the kids would say back. Close to triple digits. Wouldn't surprise me if we hit 100 one of those days.
I was fine being below average for once.
Yes.
Thank you, Adam. All right, so the Spurs make a decision on Dylan, Mary.
Yeah, Summer League is so great because we get to see the future stars of the NBA play basketball. But when it comes to Dylan Harper of the Spurs, San Antonio decides he might be sidelined for the rest of Summer League. And remembering Tybee boys soccer coach Reese Unker with one of his players. That story and more after the break.
Who do you watch? How do you try to watch both you and Mario at the same time on the 19th?
Just make sure you have 2 TVs in your household. If not, then have one on the TV, have one on your phone. Whatever you got to do, just don't miss our fights.
San Antonio's premier boxers have world title fights this weekend in big board sports. We start tonight's sports coverage with news out of the Spurs camp. San Antonio has shut down Dylan Harper for the remainder of Summer League, signaling the coaches and front office have seen what they've needed to see, and now the number 2 pick in last month's draft can turn his attention to gearing up for fall camp. In 2 outings in Las Vegas, Harper met the hype, totaling 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals, averaging 22.5 minutes per game. Here's Harper reflecting on his first 2 pro games.
The atmosphere here is crazy. I think when I was here, it's different when you're watching it like from afar, and then when you're on the court, like we were on the court, you can hear the crowds into it no matter what game it is. Like it's just unbelievable. So just probably the crowd, the energy, and just honestly just how competitive it is.
The Spurs are one of 8 teams still undefeated in Las Vegas. Tomorrow, San Antonio, without Harper, will tip off against the Hornets at 6 o'clock. Out Outfielder Mason Lytle out of UTSA is one of 5 undrafted free agents the Houston Astros have signed. Lytle was instrumental in the Roadrunners' first NCAA Super Regionals appearance and had a decorated senior campaign. At the beginning of the college baseball season, UTSA head coach Pat Hallmark said the program put a lot of stock to keep Lytle in San Antonio, and it surely paid off. Fellow teammate and outfielder James Tausig inked a deal with the White Sox as well. Well, shifting gears now as we remember a vital member of the Kerrville-Tivy soccer community. Tivy's head boys soccer coach Reese Zunker, his wife Paula, and their children Lyle and Holland unfortunately lost their lives in the Texas Hill Country flooding. For the first time, one of Zunker's players sharing with our Nick Mantis what he'll never forget about his coach.
He always just taught us that there was just so much more than just soccer, and just so much more to life. He was his family was so important to him, and I admired him so much for that. He always sacrificed for others, but at the end of the day, most importantly, his family was there, and he was always there for his family, and I just admired him so much for that. And I mean, I'll never forget all the talks we had about how important it is to be there for your family, and especially our soccer family.
Well, that full story will air tomorrow night on KSAT Sports Now. Thank you to Colin for sharing those words about his coach. Earlier today, the San Antonio Missions announced one of their upcoming games will be dedicated to raising money to support those affected by the Hill Country floods. Missions players will wear the baseball jerseys from Centerpoint, Comfort, Ingram, Tom Moore, and Kerrville-Tivy high schools. And 4-time NBA champion Manu Ginobili will wear one of the jerseys and throw out the first pitch. The jerseys will be autographed and then auctioned off after the game. All of the funds raised will go to Kerr County Flood Relief Fund, as well as Ingram Little League, to help rebuild their fields that were destroyed in the floods that we showed you earlier. Here's a closer look at the info for the game. 4 Saturdays from now, August 9th, the Missions will host their fundraising game for the Texas Hill Country flood victims. All right, our boxing coverage continues after the break.